In the garden of medicinal herbs, the remedy is never very far away. If you run into an emergency situation, you get hurt, somebody else gets hurt, or if you need a daily dose of some kind of a life-giving medicine, then the medicine is never far from your dirt-caked elbow. There's a row of tulsi plants here, and people ask me, well, what herb do you use every day yourself? Because they want to kind of get an inroad to understanding how an herbalist works with things, and I immediately begin to panic because I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to use some particular herb every day, and then I remember, oh, well, yeah, actually, I do use tulsi every day. So tulsi is a really good way to start. It's a adaptogenic herb that helps you adapt to stress of any kind. And the way I choose my daily tulsi leaf that I take with direct consumption is I just look, and the first one that I see is the one that I take. So not too much deciding where to go with it, which one to ingest. Just the first one that kind of waves out at me, that's the one that I take that day. And I do thank the plant for its leaf, and I also believe in the blessings of the tulsi. So we'll go from there right over to healing ourselves with self-heal. Okay, so today we're talking about spontaneous herb use. The remedy is close at hand without needing to use any tools in the future when we don't have things like knives and alcohol and electricity and time. We can just use the herbs right out of nature, and that is going to be sufficient. So self-heal, I wanted to show you these self-heal that I found in a different place. Look at how tall those are. This is just really, really amazing. Shows some of the diverse growth habits that you can have with some of these herbs, because right down here is a self-heal that's more typically sized, about 6 inches tall, and growing right there next to this moss-covered rock. So this one's already been picked, and it is in the cob is in full flower. So that's the medicinal part. And what this herb has is ability to treat oral lesions, herpes type 1, which is, as you know, a virally mediated lesion. Luckily I don't have any right now, but I'm going to act like I do. Oh God, that hurts so bad. I hope I don't have to eat any popcorn today. So it has an astringent activity which draws the tissue together and kills pain, and then it also has an antiviral molecule in there that helps dissolve the virus and bring on healing. So you've got a couple of different modes of healing in a simple little plant like self-heal, Prunella vulgaris. So how do you use it spontaneously? Well, first of all, you make sure that the cob is actually in flower, because if it's in flower, then it's nice and soft. And then you can take that and remove the leaves and bruise it a little bit in your hands, and then you can just put that in right next to the lesion. I look like I'm chewing tobacco now, don't I? So that's the way you use your self-heal spontaneously in the garden without any tools. So let's go on and find something else to talk about. Somebody was talking to me yesterday about mastitis in goats, and and they said that they were using a comfrey leaf poultice and making it hot and putting it on the udder and kneading the udder and milking the goat out rather frequently, which is all a good idea. But I suggested that instead of using comfrey, which proliferates cell growth and doesn't really have anything to do with moving the lymph, that she use instead mullein leaves. And so the idea would be to pick the mullein leaf, thank you plant, and steam it until it's hot, and then bring that out to the goat shed and use those hot mullein leaves and put them on the udder and kind of work it in. And then if you didn't have a heat source, then you could just use the mullein flowers like this. This is the Olympic mullein, the Verbascum olympicum. They make a lot of flowers, and you would grind it up in your hands like this until you get the juices going out. See that yellow juice there, and then you would go ahead and use those juicy yellow hands to knead the udder, and then you would get the transdermal influence of the lymphatic movement that would help resolve the infection, resolve the mastitis for the goats. So that would be the way to use that spontaneously without any tools. This is in case you don't have fire and coffee, then you just stop by your ephedra plant and you take a little leafless stem. See, these are photosynthetic stems, and it's a CNS stimulant just like caffeine is. Of course, you don't want to take a whole lot of it to give yourself a heart attack, but you just take a small amount like that and chew it up. It's very good. Tastes great, has a wonderful texture, and gives you a slight lift. This is also a spontaneous remedy for any kind of allergy, like if you have allergy to pollen or something of that nature. It's a vasodilator, vasobronchodilator. It opens up the passages and allows for more efficient breathing, as well as increasing the heart rate a little bit. So these are the fruits. This is actually the ephedra equisetina, or the blue stem. They call it blue stem ephedra. It has a little bit of blueness to it, and these are the fruits. We call these little Buddhas. They look like a little Buddha. You rub the belly for good luck, and they're bi-seeded. They have 2 seeds inside there. You can see if you open it up. So they're beginning to ripen and fall off the plant, and that's a good indication that it's time to make the ephedra seed harvest. These plants are dioecious. They have separate female and male plants, so you have to have male plants and female plants in order to make seeds. So this is a female plant here. So now we've got the self-heal here, we've got the ephedra here. We're going to talk a little bit about spilanthes. This is the Acmella oleracea, spilanthes toothache plant. This is a really good choice for any kind of dental problem where you have like a rotten tooth, where you have swollen and bleeding gums. The plant contains alkyl amides, which are anti-inflammatory and will kill pain. They also create that sort of buzzing sensation, so they call these buzz buttons. This is a polyploid one here. It's got extra genes, so it made a little smile. This right here would be, thank you plant, this like here would be more typical. It looks like a little fish eye. But yeah, you take that and you, I don't think I'm going to put the big one in my mouth. I would be unable to speak. But you take this and you put it in right next to the dental problem, and it's going to shrink down that swollen gum and also help kill pain. Put it over on this side. There we go. So speaking of like spontaneous herb usage and the value of slow and even and daily intake of various kinds of constituents from plants. Capsaicin from peppers is one of the most important things I think you can take on a daily basis. And a lot of people say, well, I hate peppers, I don't want to eat any peppers, they're so hot, they make me cough, this and that. Well, if you just take small amounts of it on a daily basis, you can inure yourself to it, and you can take some peppers every day. It'll make you live about 20% longer. It's a great vascular tonic. It is a treatment for heart disease. That's why it makes you live longer, is because it's so very good for your heart. Now, peppers they're perennials, but they are not hardy, so they're something that you can grow in the greenhouse. And this pepper here, this ají amarillo, is 2 years old, and I can get these great peppers. They're like a Peruvian heirloom pepper. People say, oh, I like green peppers. That's not ripe. Use ripe peppers. So it's ripe when it's orange, yellow, amarillo. This can be taken on a daily basis, and it's going to help keep you from having a heart attack. We're going to look at Aloe arborescens. This is the Krantz aloe, one of the better edible aloes in our pharmacopoeia. And aloes, again, and you're probably used to this, can be used as a direct application to any kind of a cut or sunburn, burn, sore. You open them up like this. Thank you, plant. And then you get that mucilage rich, galactomannan rich inner portion. You can see the outer portion is becoming a little bit yellow. That's because the skin, the cortex, has some anthraquinones in it that are laxative. But what we're after here is we're just after this lovely juice, and that is edible and can also be used on the skin to ameliorate any kind of lesion or sunburn, a regular burn. It's soothing, and it also speeds healing. It contains some allantoin, which is the cell proliferant molecule. So yeah, you could use aloe vera, you could use aloe arborescens. Aloe arborescens is nice. It's a tree aloe, and it makes these little pups all up along there. So those can be removed, calloused, and replanted. Then the plant is so enthusiastic, it's even making these aerial roots. Eventually it'll get those roots down into the ground. Aloe arborescens, worth knowing. So this is a tea tree, Melaleuca alternifolia, that's just, I've just noticed that it's just now going into flower, which I've been waiting for about a year. And there's the flower right there. You can hear the hummingbird in the background. That means that the world agrees with us when we say something and then we hear a hummingbird. That means the world agrees. But tick bite. If you find that you've been bit by a tick, the first thing to do is to get rid of the tick, and you can then put it in like a little vial, because if you do have a secondary infection from it, then you can send it in and have it analyzed and see if it has Lyme disease or not, if it's carrying Lyme disease or not. How much do you need to worry? You can actually answer that question by sending the tick in. But in the meantime, you take some of your tea tree, thank you, plant, and you worry that tea tree leaf, and then you rub that right on the tick bite. And what that does is it disinfects the tick bite. and it makes it less likely that you're going to get the bullseye infection, that secondary infection. So you want to go ahead and hit it with essential oil plant right away. If you don't have tea tree, then you use rosemary. Use one of the Mediterranean herbs that has a lot of aromatic essential oils in it, so that you have this strong antiseptic influence against the tick spit. It's Ashitaba Angelica Kaiskai Koizumi is a source of these life-giving chalcones. So if you, thank you plant, if you break off one of the leaves, then what's going to happen is the chalcones are going to slowly express, and they're yellow ketones. I don't know if you can see that beginning to come out of the cellular structure there. Those yellow chalcones are in there, and this is the most edible of all the angelica plants. They call it tomorrow's leaf. It reproduces very rapidly. A leaf taken today will be replaced tomorrow by a new leaf. So there's the new leaf coming up. And these are very good for people who have chronic conditions. If you're suffering from low energy, tendency to get every disease that comes knocking on the door, then definitely taking a Ashitaba leaf daily, either fresh or as a steamed vegetable, is a very safe and very good idea. Bitter stuff is really good for you. That tonifies your digestion. It stimulates all your body processes. I got stung by a bee, that hurts so bad. First thing to do is to look and see if the stinger is still in there. If the stinger is still in there and there's a sac of poison attached to the stinger, don't push down on it with your finger and inject the poison into your body. Instead, get yourself a little needle from a plant and pop it out. And that way you will have less of an issue with the bee sting. And then, of course, as soon as you get a bee sting, the first thing you do is look around for a plantain leaf, which, you know, in the garden of medicinal herbs, that's going to be basically right at your feet. There's a broadleaf plantain, Plantago ovata, and that can be used as a spontaneous poultice to help pull out. Plantain pulls. It's not only healing and astringent, it actually pulls. So it'll help pull out that poison from the bee sting. And in order to make the juices available, you want to work the leaf pretty nicely like that, and then you put that on the bee sting, and for a little while it hurts really bad, and then after a while you forget about it because the herb is doing its work, and you can go ahead and do your work and get something else done besides worrying about how badly the bee sting hurts. They call these rib warts because they have internal ribs, these filaments that are inside the stem, and you can make a band-aid out of these. It's really nice to use for kids when they get an owie, because after a while they become so fascinated with the process of how you make a bandage, a plaster, if you will, out of a plantain leaf, that they forget why they're hurting in the first place. So what you do is you split the stem, which is fairly easy to do because it is quite fibrous. So you split the stem like this, and then you can take any kind of poulticing agent. It could be a bit of comfrey leaf. Okay, so again, comfrey, it's not very far away. Here's a comfrey leaf. So comfrey, as you know, is Symphytum officinale. This plant is going to help kill pain. It's going to help close up a cut. It's going to speed healing. It's not used for deep puncture wounds, but you can make a really nice little spontaneous poultice out of a comfrey leaf, and then you put it inside your plantain leaf, and then you wrap it directly against, say I had a little cut right there. You wrap it against that cut, wrap it around, wrap it tight. The kids like watching you. And then you take one of your long pieces and you run it in this direction, and then the other long piece you run in the opposite direction. So then you've got two pieces that can be tied, and you have your bandage and you have your bunny ears all floppy. So by then the kid has forgotten completely about the owie and is fascinated by the bunny ears, and besides, the comfrey is killing the pain and healing the problem. You have the plantain leaf is also pulling out any kinds of poisons. It's somewhat antiseptic. Both plants contain cell proliferant allantoin, and so you're moving forward. You have your self-heal, you have your spilanthes bud, you've got your nice plantain bandage. This is all spontaneous herbal use without any tools. Puppery duppery doo. Do you want to eat the bunny ears? Yeah. You just you're such a good herbal dog.